You know what sound that is, folks. You betcha. It's another Noon Whistle. I'm Chris Trottier.
And I'm John Anzalone, and our special guest today is Eric Larsen, 1980 grad from Elkhorn Area High School and a Hall of Fame member of Elkhorn Area High School. Welcome, Eric.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, we're excited to talk all things Eric, basketball, Elkhorn, whatever we need to do. So
no deductions, though. No deductions or, how to.
No tax talk.
We're going to give you a break from tax season today for about 15 minutes.
Sounds good.
Well, yeah. Hey, it's great to have you. I know we talked a little bit about this beforehand, but I think you bring such a wealth of knowledge as a head basketball coach, because not only have you been a player of not only basketball, football, baseball, but you've had children in sports programs. You've been a youth coach. You've been a high-level official, refereed state champions, state games, and you've also been a coach in all sorts of different levels and kind of leading up to this. And how do you think that helps you?
I think it gives you a good perspective on a lot of things. You can understand decisions you make as a coach and how that affects kids and coaches and all that stuff. That much I think is good. I do try to tell our kids all the time, like from a refereeing standpoint, just referees referee. That's what they do. Coaches take care of that. Your body language, the way you react, has negative implications during games. And that maybe not this game, but like 3 weeks later when you get the same set of officials, it's like you can't do it. They're not going to change their call because you complained. So
wait, hold on. Are you telling me that an official, when a parent's screaming or a kid's getting mad, the official said, "You know what? You're right. I'm going to flip that.
Let's change it." Now, there are some old Southern Lakes coaches, I think, who thought that way, but we won't name any names there.
Yeah, handle.
Eric, when you say that, I just flashed back instantly. Like, you've been doing that for a long time, and even as a mid-20, upper 20, 30-year-old, I remember playing in a baseball game with you, and I was yipping in my own head to myself over there, and you had turned to me and said, "Why don't you worry about what you're doing instead of what they're doing?"
It is true. I mean, first of all, refereeing is really hard, and we need more referees. We need all that stuff. And, the kids always focus on one bad call, but they never talk about the one they got away with, the trip forward on the floor and all that stuff.
Right.
That's just stuff we talk about with the kids all the time. So control what you can control. You hear that all the time, but I think it's really true.
Yeah.
Again, I think the same from a parent standpoint, like parents watching the game, they focus on their kid all the time. Just kind of, and again, I'm not saying I was the perfect parent of a child playing sports. I'm not saying that at all. I get it. But in the big picture, it is what it is, and kind of enjoy it.
Yeah, their athletic ability isn't a reflection of your parenting, right?
No.
Like, just let them do their thing.
Yep.
Look at this. We already got a comment said that you, from Teresa, Brad Wales and Eric Larsen, the dynamic ref duo.
Was that staged?
Did you pay that?
I did see her this weekend, so that may or may not be true.
Well, now you'd have to have a 3-man, because you got to have 3 versus 2. So
it's actually when I kind of got out of reffing was when that was just starting. So I didn't have the pleasure of doing any 3-man crews.
So, all right. So you take over a program. Obviously, you've been connected to the school, the community, the district your entire life. Coach Scatrud took it over from Coach Handel, who did a great job. Coach Scatrud had great success. So now you are inherent the program that you love so much. So talk a little bit about, your mindset, kind of your decision-making, your thoughts as you went into this season, and, what you're most excited about.
So really, I think, so I took 2 years off of coaching, which was really a good thing. It does kind of refresh you and kind of puts things in perspective a little bit. I think it's a grind to coach all the time. I know, John's coached baseball. It's year round. I mean, it's not, hey, I'm just going to coach the basketball season. It's year round all the time. So again, when I looked at Elkhorn specifically, Elkhorn's always had athletes. We've got athletes. Our soccer teams do well. Football players do well. Baseball. I mean, all the different sports we have athletes all the time. So it's like, you can use those guys in basketball. And I think that's kind of been the focus of what we've done. If you take a couple, you don't always have basketball players, but you always got athletes. And if you can sprinkle in a couple basketball players with athletes, and try to get up and down the floor and play a lot of kids and create some competition, our practices are really good. I mean, we have kids that are of equal ability and they get after it in practice. And I think it makes coaching easier and it makes it funner when you can just, kind of roll the balls out there and they play. And that's what they do right now. So
your kids seem to like to get out and run from the games I've seen.
They do. I think they all like that. It's stuff they can do. It's not like we're running a play for a certain guy all the time. I mean, we just, go roll the ball out, go play some defense, get a steal, and let's beat guys down the court. So they like that.
Well, and
you like Retsuki for a minute there.
Yeah. That's not how he would not be happy with playing the way we are.
Right.
Well, you think about that style, and we have two major universities in our state. Coach Gard at Wisconsin and Coach Smart at Marquette. And obviously Coach Gard has done pretty well, head-to-head coaching against Coach Smart. But on the recruiting front, it's been a little bit of the other side of it. And I think a lot of that has to do with what kids just want to play. They want to get up and down. I'm not discrediting anything UW does or Coach Gard does, but, man, I can tell you who I'd prefer to play for.
Right. Right. And they can recruit guys to their style. We get the hand it's whatever gets dealt to us every year. So we just have to be able to adjust. I'm not saying we're going to keep playing that style. We do have some bigger kids coming up, but even then we're trying to go with like a 4-out thing. So there's always a spot for a big kid to play. And most of our big kids are athletic. So let's take advantage of that as well.
Well, the transition, it seems seamless and you're off to a great start and kids seem excited. The school seems excited about the basketball season. So kudos to you for making that transition.
Thanks.
Really seamless.
And again, shout out to the staff. The guys I have working do a great job. They put in the same amount of time as I do, and it's year round for those guys as well.
So talk a little bit about the landscape of the Southern Lakes. Obviously, it's changed a little bit. Delvin's out. Beloit Memorial comes in. You still have the other programs, really good coaches, really good programs. Talk a little bit about, who do you see as the top tier? What are some things that the Southern Lakes is unique about the Southern Lakes? Or just talk a little bit about the landscape and the upcoming season in the SLC.
Yeah, well, I think there's the conference is good. I think, you got Burlington, Westosha, Beloit Memorial. Them coming in is a different dynamic, obviously, with their style of play. And then you got other programs, Waterford has been good here. Elkhorn has a hard time playing over there all the time, I know. And then there's some new coaches at a couple other places too. Wilmot has the same coach who I've known for, basically my whole adult life.
Yeah, Coach Urban Trout.
Yep. So he's coached my kids, so it tells you where he's at, and done a lot of really good things. To me, the Southern Lakes is very, when you play everybody twice, that makes it hard. Everybody knows everything about everybody, and you have to be able to, play different a little bit the next time you play them. I'm not saying we hold things back, but there's a little bit of that. This year, the plus for us, I think, is our sectional draw. We don't have any conference teams in our sectional draw.
That's
really.
We go to the West this year and don't play any of our teams. And in the past, though, sometimes you'd be playing those teams for a third time. That's really hard. They know everything about you, and then it really comes down to execution on one game day.
Well, think about that. Think about those games when I think you were coach at the freshman or JV level when the Alumnus boys and Nick Brown and Chance, those guys, every single time. Who'd you meet in the sectional semis or finals?
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing fun about that.
No, and those are hard teams to beat once, let alone a twice or a third time. I mean, that's just that's hard. So this year, again, there's some really good teams in our. I mean, Pewaukee's in our sectional, so I mean, that kind of tells you where that's. That'd be a championship, sectional championship game.
I'd still like the chances, though. I still like the chances if you don't have to line up against your conference, and I think it gives your conference a chance to advance further, right, than knocking each other off.
Yep. Yep, I agree. So we're kind of excited about that. And again, I think our conference is good. We've got a lot of good teams in our conference, so it makes it a challenge every night.
And I think the other side to that is I've always appreciated being in a conference as long as I have, is I always appreciate the fact that everybody's trying to, beat each other and, be successful. But when it comes time to tournament, especially if, a conference school is being successful and going and competing against non-conference opponents, everybody rallies around them. Like, when Lake Geneva was, won a state championship in football, everybody, I think everybody in the conference was as proud as they could be for, a conference school to do that, or the Burlington in volleyball, or, whomever. I just think that's what makes our conference pretty unique.
I would agree. It's a good conference all the way around. So,
yeah. So let's talk a little bit about building the program from the ground up. We were talking before the show about the youth part of it. So, there's a strong youth program, and, thanks to the Elkhorn youth basketball and Jared and Melissa and all of them for some, Matt doing their work. But talk a little bit about, like, what are some things that you value at the youth level that that either you want to continue seeing or hope to see, or, just talk a little bit about youth sports, because it's always a hot topic anywhere.
Sure. Well, we as like a staff, we talk about, just the fundamentals of our high school kids, is really important. And the youth coaches, the more they can stress all the fundamentals of stuff, not the wins and losses and, who scored what. It's just, fundamentally to be really sound, so that, when you really, ultimately, the only games that really matter in theory are the varsity level games. All the other games are just, it's a chance to show what you've learned and practiced on during the week. So, and then the other thing is, and I've said this multiple times to the youth program, we just don't want to lose anybody because of something not basketball related, like parents being upset with a coach or other parents, and the idea that someone's getting more playing time as a fifth grader than their kid. And, that ideally, if we can just, keep those kids all moving along, progressing, working on fundamentals, getting better. And by the time they get to be, high school level kids, I say this to high school level kids all the time. We have a lot of kids who like basketball. Ultimately, we want kids who love basketball, because there's a difference. Those kids are in the gym all the time. You don't got to tell them they need to work out. They don't have to tell them about practice. In the summer, they're working on their game because they love their game. And I think that starts to show when you're a freshman or a sophomore. Do you really love what you're doing, or do you just like it? And again, there's nothing wrong with just liking it. I think that's good. Let's get to a point where you can kind of make that decision on what you want to do. I think ultimately kids will make that decision, and we just go from there. But it's not about wins and losses in 7th grade, 6th grade, 5th grade. It's just
wins and losses are a result of your preparation and what you've done, right?
Right.
They just happen.
Yep. But I think a lot of times that's what you hear. Hey, our record is this. It's like, whatever. I don't care about records.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you're right. And those kids that develop late, like they all develop at different times, and you don't want to lose the boy that, maybe he loves it, but he's not very good. And he ends up putting in a lot of time and getting really good, but decided he didn't want to play because he had a bad experience.
Yep. Yeah, that's what we have to avoid.
Or it's the other end, where you got the best player in 5th grade ends up being the 15th player, at high school.
Yeah.
Because, they were 5'10" and shaving in 5th grade. And we had a guy like that on my high school team, and, it just changes. I mean, kids evolve, kids get better, and
don't rule out anybody.
Don't rule out anybody. Keep them all in.
We always say, look at mom and dad. That gives you a pretty indication of where kids are going.
Well, we were talking about that on the show. Like, when you see some of those kids who just haven't caught up with their body, and their parents are walking in and both of them are above 6'2", you better make sure that kid ends up being pretty good.
Yep.
Take a look at the kid that, I think you said it, Chris, looks like the baby fawn trying to stand up. They might be 6'8".
Yep. I would argue like Isaiah Lomax has that potential. He's really kind of figuring things out here. Yeah. I look for really big things next year from Isaiah. Not that he won't this year, but it's kind of the same thing. It's just they've kept him interested. He's kept liking basketball and working on things, and he's getting better and better here every day.
Well, and there are stories out there. there are stories out there where a kid all of a sudden shoots up their junior or senior year 6 inches.
Yep. Yeah.
Don't write them off.
No, definitely not.
No, and there's nothing like the high school sports experience, I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
So all right, so time goes by quick here on the Noon Whistle because everybody's engaged, and we got a lot of we had a nice like from Jim Breidenbach who chimed in on Facebook, and we got plenty of people watching. If there's anybody who wants to pose a question or comment to Coach Larsen, do it in the next 2 minutes before we sign off. Make it positive.
Please.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So, but let's go around. We always like to, we're going to mix it up a little bit. So we're going to go around the room. I'm going to start with Coach Larsen. We usually do shout outs and thank yous, but we're going to keep it, we're going to change it up a little bit. Name your favorite coach of all time. All right. That could be somebody you had.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And share why, and then we'll go right around the room.
So mine was, I've had several good coaches and a lot of guys I coached with when I first started coaching, the Lowell Voskels, the Chuck Stats, those type people. But I think Dean Wilson was probably the most influential. He was AD. He let me coach a lot of different sports. We kind of saw sports in the same light. So I think that helped. And he would definitely be right near the very top of that list.
Love it. Love it. Coach Anzalone, who do you got?
I'd have to throw my father in there as someone who was influential and never treated me like his son and probably treated me harder, which was good for me. And I think took me a long way, but I'd have to piggyback that with Bill Blakely. Like Bill Blakely was kind of, I would say, the Dean Wilson of Williams Bay at that time. And yeah, never favored you, but taught you things you didn't know he was teaching you along the way that you use on and on and on.
Well, I had success as a high school student athlete, and I played for 2 Hall of Fame coaches, Tom Regal in basketball and Joe O'Neill in baseball. And I'm going to go with Coach Mick Ristow, who was our JV baseball and basketball coach, who always found a way to find a little something in you that you didn't think you had in you, and pushed you a little bit outside your comfort level, and wasn't always delivered perfectly and like we all want it, but it was honest, as upfront, and to this day he still sends me little notes and cards, and for that it's Coach Ristow. So,
hey Chris, can we extend this 1 minute? You just made me think of something. I think this is kind of fun. Can I throw something in?
Yeah.
You give me permission? All right, it's your show, man. I'm just a guest. All right, so think of 3 people who were influential in your life or guided you, and obviously, one of them is going to be a coach, probably with all of us. Think of 2 more. All right, so is one a family member? I would have to say yes.
Me too.
Would another one be a teacher?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's powerful because the impact you have not only as a parent but as teachers and coaches are so influential on all of our lives. And everyone I've ever asked that question to, and you go, all right, tell me, what area are they in? It's always a teacher and a coach in there.
Yep.
I would agree. Definitely agree.
It's important what we do. Coach Larsen, good luck tonight. You got Beloit Memorial. What's their nickname? Are they the Crusaders, or what are they?
I don't know. Purple Knights, right?
Knights.
Purple Knights. That's right. Okay, good.
Purple rain all over the gym tonight.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming on the Noon Whistle. We'll hopefully have you. We're going to have a March Madness edition. Maybe we'll bring you back and have you on with some other alumni. But good luck today. Thank you for all you do and the time you put in. We know that coaches make a grand total of about 30 cents an hour for all the time you put in. But thank you for what you do. And John, on that note,
good luck.
I think we got to go back to work. So we got to listen for the whistle. Here it is. Thanks, Coach.
You bet. Thank you.